Well, I welcome you to Binkley tonight. It's a joy to see you here, and just a couple of things to say about our building and the history of our church. So, as I think many of you may know, when Binkley began in 1958, we had to rely on the kindness of the folks at the University of North Carolina, and for a little over 4 years, our congregation met at Girard Hall. And then in time, this property and this building was envisioned. This very space served as our sanctuary for a number of years before we built the sanctuary that's just down the hall. And so we know what it was like. We know what it is to share space and be on the receiving end of the hospitality of the University of North Carolina. When this building was envisioned, it was understood that the building itself, these were Dr. Seymour's words, our founding pastor, that the building itself would provide opportunities for the community that meet Monday through Saturday, with the church meeting, of course, on Sunday and other selected times, but that for the great bulk of the week, it would sit empty. And that just did not seem like good stewardship. And it didn't seem like it would help the community, which needed opportunities and places for healing and to help, support. And so, from the very beginning of the building of this facility, groups were welcomed here. In the church lounge, groups like the Interfaith Council were birthed, Habitat for Humanity. And for the first 3 decades of Meals on Wheels, they met here, and then they got a sweetheart deal at St. Thomas More, and they dumped us. But all kinds of groups use our facility. And I don't know if you noticed the banner out in the Peace Plaza as you made your way in, but we really do believe that the groups that inhabit our building are part of our community, part of our family, part of the mission of our church, which is to be a place of goodwill for the common good of all persons, all Chapel Hillians. And so that's what the purpose of tonight is. It is to say, we thank you for being in our building and for using it and utilizing it and helping us be a community partner to so many segments of Chapel Hill and beyond. So welcome. We're really happy that you're here. And our first group happens to be led by a former staff member here at Binkley, Leandra Stroop, who is the director of Sisters Voices. And she brought her group, a portion of her group tonight, and they're going to come and speak to us now. So Sisters Voices, Leandra.
My name is Leandra Stroop, and I am the founding artistic director of Sisters Voices. We are a choral organization, choruses of girls. We serve kids in kindergarten this year through 11th grade, next year through 12th grade. We're kind of growing our high school part of the organization. We have about 70 kids involved this year in 5 levels. SV1, that's Sisters Voices Level 1, is kindergarten and first grade. They meet once a week. SV2, second and third grade, they meet once a week. SV3, that's fourth and fifth graders, they start meeting twice a week. And then SV4, middle school. This is part of SV4 who's here today. They meet twice a week, once on Saturdays, and then half the group meets on Wednesday and half the group meets on Tuesday for skills classes. And then SV5, which is a high school group, meets on Saturdays for 3 hours. And then they also meet every other Thursday. And then 4 of those singers, the chamber singers, meet to do some one-on-a-part work on Tuesday evenings. So those kids are really very involved, yes. The middle and high school kids have these long Saturday rehearsals, and then they stay for another 2 hours after that to have dinner together and have a conversation about something that's important to them. Right now, so this is a leadership portion of our program. When I think about choruses, and especially for kids, I'm thinking about how the chorus acts as a small society, how kids in community learn to use their voices. What does it feel like when we're all together in unison? And what does it feel like when I'm alone going out there? And what does it feel like if I've got people backing me up or if I'm backing somebody else up? How do we balance our voices with each other? How do we come forward and share our voices? And that idea of sharing our voices is the essential piece of Sisters' Voices to me. It's not just about music. So when we get to the point of being in middle school and we're at the point where the kids are really relying on their peers for authority more than just their parents, then we start doing more self-exploration. We start building the community more strongly. They're here a couple times a week, as you've heard, and they get to. Right now, we're studying the Enneagram so that they're really asking questions about themselves and about each other. They're building empathy for each other, understanding the difference in their values. We talk a lot about values because we don't all share the same values. And if we can understand what's driving us, what's driving other people, then it brings us to a different kind of sense of empathy for each other. So I want to say, these kids had something that they wanted to say. I asked if they had something that they would share with you about what's important to them about Sisters' Voices, and they will in just a minute. But before we do that, I wanted to say to you all that there are things that we've been in a number of different churches and buildings over the life of Sisters' Voices. We were founded in 2008, and there are things that are just terrific about being here at Binkley. One of those things is that we have a room 15 over there, where we can have our stuff and where we come back here day after day and I don't have to load it all into my car at the end of the day. And it has made such a difference in our ability to grow and to serve more kids. It's essential. We love that we can perform here. This space is actually a little bit too small for us for the size of our community, and we're trying to figure out how to accommodate that without moving out, because the kids love singing here and this is their home, and they refer to it that way. Like when I say, should we go to the arts center to perform, they say, no, we want to sing at Binkley because this is a beautiful place to sing. As much as the acoustics in here are struggle when you have a group of people, it's a wonderful, very forgiving place to sing, and that's terrific. We do plays here in the summer. We do camps where we get to run around and do yoga. Like there's so much that we can do here. And I just want to say thank you to you all that there used to be a wooden screen here. Thank you, Amy. And I cannot tell you the number of tears that were cried when kids kept banging into it, standing up and bumping their heads, etc. And at our last winter concert, I brought the kids up here as they had practiced, and the sun was coming in so hard and hit them, and I had to move them all to a different part of the stage, not what we had practiced, but that you all have tinted the windows. Did you know that you had tinted the windows? Is a really big deal for us. There are new lights here. Thank you for that, because we love this space anyway, but your responsiveness to our I didn't even say we needed it, but your, except for this screen, because that was a safety hazard, but your responsiveness to those things and your thoughtfulness about the people who are in the space is really something that has meant a lot to me as personally and as a leader of this group. So thank you for that. May I turn this over to my singers? This is Zoe.
Hi. At Sisters' Voices, everyone comes from different backgrounds and has different values, but we share a common passion for singing.
We all get to learn. We get to learn about other people's backgrounds and socialize with lots of people from different schools, and yeah.
I really love singing, and I think it's even better that I get to sing with other people around my age, which is really nice. And there are very many musical levels here that I get to learn from, which is really cool.
I get to be with a community of people that I can talk to and that I trust. We all care about each other and have lots of fun.
So thank you all very much. I want to say one more thing, that we have a real commitment in Sisters Voices to making sure that we are accessible to anybody who wants to participate. Some of our kids pay full tuition. They also have the option of 3/4, half, a quarter, and then we have some kids who are on full scholarship. So I wanted to add that because I consider you all a real partner in that the rent is something that we can afford, makes a big difference in our ability to pay our staff and also live into this part of our mission of providing this education for kids. So thank you so much, and holler if you have any questions.
So I'm Donna Crisp, I'm the office manager, and I just wanted to show you, here is the October calendar, and almost everything that's red is one of our partner groups that meets here. Everything from, with the Village Band is practicing twice in October in the Fellowship Hall. And of course, we have Kids Zoo, Sisters Voices, our TOPS program, several different 12-step program and recovery programs meet here. And the North Carolina Boys and Girls Choir, there's just a ton of them. And I just think that it's amazing to look at this and go, wow, look at all those people. I'm lucky enough to coordinate that. I work on coordinating rooms when people need spaces. So now I would like to invite our folks from the 12-step programs, Al-Anon and AA, to come up, and you guys can talk one at a time or talk together, however it works best for you.
My name is Amy Smoker, and I represent two of the quite a few Al-Anon groups that meet in your church. I represent the 8:30 on Saturday early bird group, and I represent the beginners meeting, which meets at 10 o'clock, which is specially geared for anyone new to Al-Anon. So they have slightly different formats. The 10 o'clock is especially geared to cover the basics of Al-Anon in a certain way and to be very open and more discussion and back and forth oriented so people can ask questions and just find out if it's right for them. I personally have been part of Al-Anon for about 20 years, and then I came into volunteering in this service position for my group a couple years ago. And I thought I'd give you a little bit of information specifically about the groups and about Al-Anon, and then some of the reasons that I'm really grateful to be partnered with Binkley. My group has been meeting for over 10 years here in this church. The beginners meeting was started by a different group that meets at 11 o'clock called Saturday Morning Live. They started the beginners meeting 20 years ago. That meeting has been going on for 20 years with the specific purpose of welcoming new people, though anyone's welcome to come to any Al-Anon group anytime, but this one is hoping to be able to make it even more welcoming and accessible. So after COVID, when we all went, remote on everything. After we came back from COVID, people were starting to show up at this church looking for a beginners meeting, and it wasn't happening in person. It was only online at that time. So my group decided to partner with the group who had been hosting it and start the in-person meeting back up again. And now it is just in person. They've just now stopped the online because more people seem to want to come in person, especially when they're newcomers, which I think you can probably relate to. There's like a connection you get when you see people face to face. In case you don't know, more generally speaking, Al-Anon is specifically for anyone who suffers or experiences effects of the disease of alcoholism. So AA was founded first, and then Al-Anon is sort of an outgrowth of that, and we follow similar principles and practices, but we consider ourselves very separate in that in Al-Anon we really keep the focus on ourselves. We don't sit around and talk about the alcoholic. We talk about how alcoholism has affected our lives. So again, you might know some of these things, but I think it's really good to know that we consider alcoholism to be a family disease and a disease of relationships. And I say that because maybe, as you can relate, we also think that that the main way that we get recovery and help is a spiritual path. So it's non-denominational, it's open to anyone who believes or doesn't believe, but one of the ways some people refer to, I like to say, you don't have to believe exactly in God, you just have to believe that you're not God, and that what you think inside your head isn't God. You have to believe it's something outside of you. So we have a very spiritual basis to our meetings, but not specifically any denomination. Let's see. I also wanted to let you know something about my group in particular that I thought you might be interested in, because many times we talk about how much we love your space and your church, and many of us are from Chapel Hill area, and we know about your church and your beliefs and what you stand for, and are feel comfortable being in your space because many of us share what you believe in, and so. Sorry, when in my particular group, this is particular to my 8:30 early bird group, when the murder of George Floyd happened and then the Black Lives Matter movement happened, there was like a tension in our group when some people started talking about racism within the context of our Al-Anon meeting, because we have really specific guidelines and we have guidelines that say we don't talk about outside issues. We keep the focus on ourselves and how we've been affected by alcoholism. Meaning we don't talk about, I think God is the way to, or like, I think, Christianity is the way, or I think Republicans are the way, or I think this is the way. Like, we're meant to keep the focus on ourselves and not focus on outside issues. So there was this tension, is it okay to talk about racism within our group? And so we had what we call a group conscience, which is basically everyone in our meeting is invited to come together and talk about it. And we ended up changing our welcome statement to say that explicitly that race and ethnicity is not an outside issue, but very much a part of a lived experience for many people. And this was an effort both to just address that tension specifically in our group, but also to try to be more welcoming and to signal that we welcome people speaking what they need to about their own identities. So I thought, considering the work your church does and what you believe in, that might be interesting. And for us in the group, it was a very meaningful experience to go through that process of working that through. Lastly, I think I just want to say that in my group, there's usually 20 or so people that come and meet in the room, and then about 20 more that come online. So we do a hybrid thing where they come in and we project them up on that TV in the lounge. And so we usually have 40 or more, at least 40 people every Saturday at 8:30 in our meetings. And then at the 10 o'clock beginners meeting, we're usually having 12 to 15. It's a combination of returning old timers, we call them, people who've been in the program a while, and then new people. And we've been really happy to see that there's been a little cohort of like late 20, early 30-year-olds, because a lot of times our groups skew a little older. So we're really happy to see these younger people who've come together and met and sort of formed a support with each other through the context of the Al-Anon group. So we're very happy with how successful the beginners meeting has been. So, and really appreciate, I won't go into details, but I put my foot in my mouth about how that meeting got off the ground with your church, and I didn't tell people about it. And so I'm super grateful with how people at the church responded when we figured it all out, and just like to report that it's gone really well. Lastly, I just want to say, besides the reasons I've already stated, one of the reasons we're so grateful to Binkley is that when you run a program that doesn't advertise, but rather just, meaning somebody might wake up one day and say, I think I'm ready to try Al-Anon. And if we're not in the same place that we usually are, then it doesn't work so well because they don't know where to go, right? So we're so grateful for the stability and the consistency of our relationship with the church, because it means that, the information is out there online, it's posted on websites, and it just stays the same, and it just brings a level of consistency that really matters to make the program work for people. So we're grateful on so many levels, and I'm also so glad to be invited here tonight so I could get to meet some of you and share what we do. And I have just a couple brochures, but if you're ever interested, I'd be more than happy to talk to anyone. You're welcome at our meetings, of course, and I'd be happy to hand you brochures if you're interested tonight too. I can go grab more. So thanks so much.
I'm Martha Haswell. I'm so glad to be here. I represent 2 Al-Anon groups. Amy did such a great job of describing what Al-Anon is. I don't know if I have too much more to say, but I have a short short little blurb that I wrote down since I have memory issues. And then if you'd like, I can take some questions about it, because I know not everybody has heard of Al-Anon or has an idea. A lot of people think it's the same thing as AA, so I just wanted to go over a little bit of that. I'll try not to repeat anything Amy said. I'm here tonight to represent the Tuesday, Friday Serenity Al-Anon Family Group, which is my home group. Actually meets at Binkley twice a week. We meet in the Binkley Lounge at 1 o'clock every Tuesday and Friday. I don't know if any other groups do meet twice a week, but it's wonderful because we really get to know each other. We have about 50 active participants and another 20 or so that are on our call lists. A typical meeting, about half of those come in person and about half are on Zoom in a hybrid meeting similar to one Amy represented. When I came in, there were several members of Binkley who were in the group, so they've moved on, I think. Well, I know one has at least. Our purpose is to support those who've been affected by alcoholism in a spouse, in a child, in a parent, in a sibling, even in a grandparent. People come in with the harm that was done to them and the way they grew up. And what we do there, because these people have grown up or lived in a home where alcoholism is prevalent and they've suffered from the effects of it. So it is a spiritual program, as Amy said. We follow the same 12 steps as AA, which end up with step 12, which is having had a spiritual awakening. We tried to carry this message to others. So that's exactly what we do. We have 24,000 Al-Anon chapters around the globe in 118 countries. And mainly, though, I came tonight because, like Amy, I just wanted to express my gratitude to this church, to the organization, for our longtime partnership with Binkley. So I've been here 11 years in the Saturday morning live group at 11 o'clock, and about 10 years in the Tuesday, Friday group. And I do service in all those groups with the newcomers and setup of rooms. It's heartwarming to know that people come in scared, lonely, ashamed of their family, and you can watch their faces as they get recovery and learn that they're not alone. Other people feel just like they do, and we comfort each other. As Amy said, I thought when a friend first brought me there, because I had alcoholism in my home, I thought, oh, this isn't for me. No, everything's fine. My qualifier's not home much. Never loses a day of work. I'll get over it. She said, no, you really would love this. So I did have a secret feeling that somehow it was my fault, or I caused it, or I should try harder to control it. And the first thing I learned when I was taken to that beginner's meeting is what they call the 3 C's. I did not cause it, I can't control it, and I can't cure it. And I felt this relief. And then, well, what can I do? So it's not my job to fix an alcoholic. What is my job? And I learned in Al-Anon it was to have a life of recovery and helping others recover who they're supposed to be, not be chasing somebody else around all the time. Our partnership with Binkley has given a safe, comfortable, accessible, and welcoming space always to people who come here in different stages of being shattered and broken, and I've watched them heal. It's like going to like a Hallmark movie every week and watching people come in just a little better and just a little better, and they're sharing how they use the steps of the program to give up on, well, we have a slogan, let go and let God. And we say, we're just going to quit trying to be God. And like Amy said, we're not God. And take care of our own selves and do what we can do. So, but Binkley has been instrumental in making people get better and giving us a place to help each other. We pass out hugs, we pass out pamphlets. I also brought some that I'll leave here that kind of, it's a family. Our belief is that alcoholism affects a whole family, whether anyone's drinking or not. And a lot of the people who come in are most broken because their children have discovered alcohol or drugs, and the stories they go through, even with their grandchildren, are just all you want to do is give them hugs. And we give out our phone numbers. We take one day at a time. I get calls from people. We all share our phone numbers, and in a crisis, help each other. But I think between what Amy told you and what I've told you, that kind of covers Al-Anon in this church. There are numerous programs. It's so blessed. But I wanted to say, if there are any questions about how it's different from AA or why we believe the whole family's affected or anything else, I'd be glad to take a question or two. Perfect. I will, where will I lead? Leave them right here? Okay. Alcoholism, a merry-go-round of denial. Alcoholism, the family disease, and Guide for the Family.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Martha and Amy. Another group that meets here is the Tar Heel AA group. They sent us a little blurb because they're actually meeting tonight. They meet on Wednesdays and Saturdays. They are an Alcoholics Anonymous 12-step recovery group. They meet every Wednesday and Saturday at 8. Their Wednesday meeting is a closed discussion, which that it means for those that identify as an alcoholic or have a desire to stop drinking. And the Saturday meeting is also for those folks, but also supportive friends, family members, and those who are interested or curious about AA recovery. They brought several pamphlets, which are on your tables. You're welcome to look at them. And then there is another AA group that meets on Wednesdays and Fridays, the AA Promises group that meets in the lounge. Now, I just want to turn your attention to, on the tables, there's a little bit of information about Square Heels, which is the square dancing, a totally different thing. They're the square dancing group that meets on Friday nights here. We just have a variety of folks. So the square dancing group that meets on Friday, they left a pamphlet for you. They have some open rehearsals and open square dance lesson groups coming up. And there are pamphlets on your table as well as on the bulletin board in the narthex. And they have been at Binkley, since they were founded in 1966, but I don't think they've been meeting here ever since then. But it just keeps people active, and you can do yourself for yourself to be healthy, happy, and fit, they say. Square dance lessons or classes are sponsored by the club to encourage others to join us. And it's a social, mental, and physical activity that can be engaged in and enjoyed for a lifetime. So they have an open house on October 11th and new class on October 18th. So if anybody's interested, you should look into it. Now, I'm going to introduce a completely different group, and that is our TOPS group, which is the Osteoarthritis Prevention Study. Is that right? Did I get it right? Yes, okay.
Thank you very much for the opportunity. Mary and I are going to tag team this, and I think square dancing is a nice segue into our talk. And we will promote that with our group because it says no experience necessary. I'm Lee Callahan. I am a professor at UNC and the principal investigator of the TOP study, Osteoarthritis Prevention Study. This is a ginormous study that we are part of. There are sites at UNC, Winston-Salem, Sydney, Australia, and Boston. And we are trying to recruit 1,200 women who are over the age of 50 and have a body mass index of 30 or above, who do not have arthritis in at least one knee. And we're responsible in Chapel Hill and Durham for recruiting 300 women. And so we have flyers, and we want everybody to, whatever groups you're involved with, to encourage people to think about checking with us and seeing if they are available. We have an amazing, amazing team of folks, and one of them is here with me tonight, Mary Hale. She is one of our interventionists, and I'm going to let her talk about the nuts and bolts of the study, and she's also leading a lot in terms of our recruitment. So take it away, Mary.
Yeah, I really liked the square dancing piece too. My feeling is if you can square dance, you can join this study. So my name's Mary Hale. I'm actually an exercise physiologist and personal trainer. I was working at UNC Wellness Center, where I know some of you from, for about 19 years before I joined the study. So we've been going since November, and yes, we are actively recruiting for our 300 women. There are 2 groups that you could be randomized to. So if anybody is interested in this, we would do a phone screening first. And if you pass the phone screening, we get you a knee x-ray to make sure that you don't have osteoarthritis. And if you pass that, we get you an MRI, and then we go into baseline testing. Once those things are completed, we randomize you to 1 of 2 groups, either the healthy living group or the diet and exercise group. And the healthy living group meets 4 times a year, right here. It's education, a little bit of exercise at the end, and in between those sessions, we send out more education. Keep in contact. The diet and exercise group actually meets 2 days a week at Planet Fitness right across the parking lot, and we are there leading that group. And then they come over here and we do an education session afterward. So it is a fantastic study, one of the first of its kind. It's a clinical research study, but we're not pushing medication. We're not pushing drugs. The intervention is exercise and weight loss. So, what we know we will find out and hope desperately is to show that just by losing weight, we can prevent osteoarthritis from forming in the first place. So, go for it.
I'm just going to say, I've been involved in several studies that looked at the role of weight loss and exercise on improving people's outcomes, or particularly pain, with knee osteoarthritis. And the same kind of group of folks that were involved in those studies, we realized there's a need, because there's one study in the Netherlands, but it's not been a large study, that's shown that you can prevent or at least delay the onset of osteoarthritis. So that's why this is so thrilling. And we very, very much appreciate the space that we're getting at Binkley and how close it is to the Planet Fitness, and how wonderful everybody's been here.
I second absolutely all of that. So if any of you here are interested in this, we have a QR code up front that you can scan with your phone, and it will take you to a brief screening. If you pass, it sends your name on to us, and we'll get up with you within a day or 2. If you know anybody that would qualify or would be interested, we've got some handouts for you guys. And then we also have a handout for community organizations, which we're hoping all of you will at least take a look at. Again, take these with you. We want to collaborate with everything that you do. It's got the staff on the bottom, our contact information. We basically just are asking you to share our information with your networks so that we can reach out to as many women in this area as possible. Thank you very much.
So, KidScope was here for a long time offering childcare programming. And when we found out towards the end of June that they would be leaving in July, without advertising, 3 different people contacted me to see the space. And so I suddenly transformed into an impromptu real estate agent and started showing property. And Samantha, who's here, will be able to tell you what a bad idea that would be for me to go into that career. But as we were getting closer and we were really excited about the good work that Kids Zoo does, as many of you have seen, the water main broke at University Place, irreparably flooding their space. So what we thought was going to happen over the next couple of weeks, they gave me a call on a Sunday and said, can we move stuff in now? So we started moving stuff in, which meant they had to do a lot more of the upfitting and things like that, and they have been here. And I thought everyone would really enjoy hearing a little bit more about what Kids Zoo is about. So Samantha, Tanya, Melanie, Maureen, come and share with us.
Hi, everyone. I'm Melanie Hatz-Levinson. I am the Chief Creative Officer at Kids Zoo, and I'm thrilled to be here. On behalf of my team, and you'll hear from all of us at different points in this talk, we are very grateful. We have been telling everyone you have been our safe harbor, and it is true. Noah's Ark, I think it's real. We were flooded out. I wanted to give you a little bit of background and history, and just tell you that we say it all the time, but we feel like we're really in good company. And tonight's, the different talks of everybody tonight, I feel like we resonate with what everybody said. So starting here, we'll talk to you a little bit about our history. And then I just want to say we feel like it's really hard to we were upstaged by a bunch of kids. We love children. We think they're the voice of the world and have all the knowledge. So we probably should have just left right there. But anyway, it's lovely to be among this company. And we're just super, super grateful. As Amy said, I'll tell you just a little bit about how we got here. And it doesn't matter how much planning you do, because things happen, right? And they happen outside of all the planning you might do. So Kids Zoo opened in 2006, and it opened because there was no children's museum here in this community that was known for early childhood education. And that seemed really crazy that people were having to drive all the way to Greensboro or to Raleigh to have accessible spaces for their children to play. We know that from the Abecedarian study and other research studies that were done at UNC, we very much believe in evidence-based work, but we know that quality early learning has incredible later life opportunities on your health, on your performance, and your relationships, everything. And yet, here in this community, there were no spaces where children and families could come and be together and have that quality early learning experience outside of formal learning environments. So in 2006, a bunch of families got together and opened Kids Zoo. You may remember this. We were on Franklin Street, and they had a bunch of traveling exhibits that came through. But those traveling exhibits, while they were wonderful in teaching families what a children's museum was, they were about different communities. So for example, Mr. Rogers' neighborhood came from Pittsburgh, and we had lots of different exhibits that came through, and I was hired actually to help Kids Zoo build their first place-based exhibit, one that would represent this community. I had just moved here from New York. I was an art curator at the Metropolitan Museum of Art and had young kids and felt like it was super important to create spaces, and especially museum spaces, where children and families were welcome and felt comfortable. So you can see that we stayed on Franklin Street. We had 2 places where we jumped around, one on East Franklin and one on West Franklin. And when the library was doing their renovations for Pritchard Park, as many of you may remember, they had created a space over at University Mall. And when their space was finally ready, they had a 10,000 square foot space, and they needed an education institution who could fill that space. Anyway, fast forward, we did. And then as we got into their space, we heard that Silver Spot was coming and they were going to pay more rent than we were, and they asked us to move across the hallway. So we are 18 years old now, which is really exciting. As a children's museum, we are now old enough to vote, and we know that you have voting here, so it's like, right, that we're ready and here and ready to vote. But we've moved around a lot, always with the expectation that we would grow into a kind of a real museum, a little bit like the Velveteen Rabbit. And some of that is already starting to come true. Right now, just a little bit fast forward, we are actually in the General Assembly budget right now. The General Assembly is voting on us becoming the North Carolina Children's Museum. Yes, thank you. We are very excited, and we have bought a piece of property at 510 Mount Carmel Church Road, where it's a 45-acre piece of property, and we're going to be putting 33 of those acres into conservation with a grant from the Land and Water Fund. And that property actually backs up to property that was just recently bought by the Botanical Gardens, and that backs up to the Botanical Gardens. So there will be continuous trails that go back and forth. But this is not what we came here to talk to you about tonight. So while we were focusing on all of this, our space at University Mall that we were currently in, we were running out of program space. And so as Amy mentioned, we had approached Binkley saying, could we actually use some of your spaces for some of the kind of annex programming that we do? And like many of the folks here tonight, we do so much programming. We have research studies with UNC. We host La Leche League. We host many, many parenting groups. We are a safe space for children, biological families, and foster families to meet up. We do refugee programming. We do a lot at KidZoo, and we knew one day we would be leaving, just not quite this soon. And so before we get to the flood, I wanted to just move on to the next slide, because in addition to hosting hundreds of thousands of children, literally. We have hosted many, many, many families serving children 0 to 12. In the last 2 years, we opened up a space that is very, very special to us that Samantha's going to talk to us about tonight. It's called The Nest, and it was a space specifically for 0 to 3-year-olds, not as an afterthought, but as a primary space where children and families could be nurtured, just like our AA friends, or Al-Anon friends, excuse me. We know the family group is so important, and the context of the family is so important, and we wanted to create a space where children and families could come and learn together, especially in those critical early years where we know that there's the most brain development. So just a little bit about The Nest really quickly. It opened less than 2 years ago, and it already served over 11,000 visitors, 60% of which visited for free or reduced cost. So we were super proud of the work that we were doing. And then now fast forward, here it comes. So we got a call at 1 o'clock in the morning. There was a water main break. The water came in, and we were told that we had 48 to 72 hours to get out of our space. And so we did call Binkley, and you all welcomed us with open arms. And in fact, it's not lost on me that the room that was open was the nursery, but it gives us the opportunity to rebuild our nest. So Samantha's going to tell you a little bit about the programming that we do. We were working with Kidscope. They were coming over to our space to do some research that we were doing on some play groups. And so it feels really natural and really lovely to be here, and we're very grateful. Really, we're very, very grateful. So I pass this on now, next to Samantha.
Thank you. Okay. I'm Samantha. I'm the manager of The Nest, and these are the threads that we pull together when we think about what kind of space and what kind of programming we want to offer to our community. Our design and aesthetics are based on the Reggio Emilia pedagogy, which is an educational approach from Italy. We draw heavily on the work from the Abecedarian approach, which was the research study done out of UNC in the 70s that proved that early childhood education has lifelong effects on people. We also work closely with a department from the Frank Porter Graham Child Development Institute called STEMI, and they do a lot of research on inclusive STEM learning for all children across all abilities. And then we also draw on the Kaleidoscope Play and Learn curriculum, which uplifts the family, friend, and neighbor network of care that many children are in the first, especially 3 years of their lives. And like you've heard, we had to leave the space that we worked so hard on, and it was a real loss. And yes, these are some pictures of the process. Maybe y'all have been around watching us carry very heavy things into this space. Believe it or not, we have moved a lot of heavy things out of this space also, trying to figure out what goes where and getting everything organized. And throughout it all, Amy especially has been so helpful and welcoming, and I think you could be a real estate agent if you wanted to. So we are so grateful for the relationships that we've already formed and look forward to building new ones. So the spaces highlighted in yellow are the ones that we will be using. The 4 on the left are going to be the Nest, our early childhood programming. And then room 11 down the hallway will be used for our camp programming. And our education manager, Tanya Day, can give you more information about that.
Hi, good evening. As Samantha said, my name is Tanya, and you'll see me in room 11. You'll also see me in that space that's just right outside. Like there, that little garden plot. We're going to take our campers out there too. And my colleague Griselda Martinez couldn't be here tonight. She'll be at room 11 doing camp with us as well. So we're really excited that we have a space to do that. Although it is camp, both Griselda and I are former educators, and we're so excited when we both came to Kidzu because it was a chance for us to bring what we knew about children and how children learn and put it in an experiential aspect. So yes, we have arts and crafts in camp, but we also do hands-on science experiments. We're making sure that we're providing what's needed as background information and really using purposeful play, which is a part of our mission statement. So you'll see me up and down the hallway around in room 11. Thank you so much for having us. Unfortunately, I do have the louder crowd. I have the 4 through 8-year-olds. So please let us know what we can do to be accommodating since you're being so accommodating for us. Thank you.
And I also want to give a shout out to Binkley Preschool. Kim Buckley, the director, and all of her staff have also been so welcoming and really, really gracious as we, come on into their hallway and disrupt their normal way of doing things. So if any Binkley preschool folks are here, big thank you. Okay, there we go. So we are rebuilding the Nest. This is room 11 that Tanya mentioned, and this is what it looked like before we moved in. And as of 2 weeks ago, we've been running Nest programming in room 11 as we get the other spaces ready. One of our big programs that we run for free, thanks to funding from the Orange County Partnership for Young Children, is called our Supported Playgroups. And they meet weekly on Mondays for families and residents of Orange County. And this is the Kaleidoscope Play and Learn curriculum that each week we address a different caregiving or parenting topic and share resources with families, give them opportunities to connect around the experiences they're having of being caregivers. And we have a lot of relationships that we've gotten to see form in these spaces. We've been running this program for 5 years. And I personally have been involved for the last 2, and I've known some of these families for that entire time. They keep coming back and signing up, and it's a really valuable community space that we've created. And this year, we're also running them monthly at the Orange County Health Department for folks who live in Hillsborough. And so here are just some pictures of how we've transformed the space into a temporary nest that's being used by some of our community members. And these are the former Kidscope rooms that are currently undergoing a lot of work. This week and last week, the painters were here. And the spaces that you see in these pictures are what will be the new nest, and will expand our programming for children ages 0 to 5. And we are really fortunate to work with many community partners. I'm sure I forgot some, but we host La Leche League breastfeeding support groups in the nest. We work with a speech language pathologist who runs Laughing Monitos, and she is currently partnering with North Carolina Central University to support some grad students doing their practicum hours with her. We work closely with the WIC program, Orange County Partnership, Abecedarian and STEMI foundations. And we are also, in October, excited to start another supported playgroup specifically for the families from Transplanting Traditions, which is an organization that supports Burmese refugees in our community. And as we root here and rebuild the nest, we're also excited to share some of our other plans for the future. Maureen, do you want to introduce yourself?
Hi, I'm Maureen, and I am very excited to be with these people. I stepped in as the education director 2 days after the flood, so a little bit of a baptism, perhaps, depending on how you want to look at it. Longtime educator and part of the community that feeds into Binkley right across the street, so I know many of your members, and I'm excited to be here with you all. And it's my voting location right in here. Looking forward, as Melanie mentioned, we have the land on Mount Carmel Church Road that we're developing. We're beginning capital campaign and have some really exciting plans for an early learning campus there. But concurrent to all the work that's happening here, we also have a mobile museum, which is a 40-foot box truck with pop-outs that align with Earth and Planetary Science for the North Carolina 6th grade curriculum. And we are getting that up and rolling, and we'll be taking that out across the state because we know that we're blessed with incredible resources here, but we also know that there's great disparity from the east to the west, and we want to get out there in the schools and share what we can with them. And then we also have in Boxyard and RTP, I don't know if you all are familiar with that, it's a new development of literally box cars that have been made into different types of restaurants, gift shops, food. There's a full steam brewery there. And we are moving into a space that was occupied by a coffee shop, and it's going to become our new maker space. And we're pretty excited about that. That's happening now. We are hoping to be up online maybe by the end of the year or early spring. And not just for kids, but we're looking at some ideas for making it accessible for adults and after hours. And we invite you all to come and join us out there. So, yeah, am I missing anything? Yeah, please.
I just wanted to say that a lot of our work is grant funded, and so the work that Samantha was telling you about, we actually just received word that we got an NIH grant. It's the museum's first, and so some really exciting work will be happening in these spaces that hopefully will have some real impact beyond these walls. Also, the program she talked about, the supported playgroups, we would love to share some flyers with you all. We have money from the Orange County Partnership for Young Children. These programs are completely free, and they are, the only requirement is that families are residents of Orange County and that their children are not in licensed childcare. So this is meant to try to meet the needs of children. We know that in North Carolina we have less than 6% space for families that want Head Start opportunities, and so programs like this really go a long way. So we really hope that you will invite all of your different communities that we heard from tonight. We'll try to join some of yours. I don't know about square dancing for me, but I am over 50, so we can talk after this. Anyway, thank you from all of us. We are very, very grateful. Thank you for having us.
For Kids Zoo, for Al-Anon, for TOPS, for Square Heels, for North Carolina Boys and Girls Choir, for Sisters Voices, for all those other red names on that calendar that Donna walks around and posts in our building week after week after week, we give thanks. And we give thanks for the influence that this space is being able to be here and beyond. Thank you so much for being here.